10 songs that were never supposed to happen, written as throwaways, recorded as B-sides, laughed at by the people who made them. Some took 10 minutes to record. One was scribbled on a fried chicken bag. Another made the co-writer say the lyrics were just plain dumb. And every single one of them became a global smash. You've danced to these songs your whole life, at cookouts, at weddings, at every party that ever mattered. But you probably don't know that the artists behind them thought they were making jokes. Here are 10 songs that weren't supposed to be hits, but refused to stay down. Number 10, Jungle Boogie, Kool and the Gang, 1974. Here's what most people don't know about one of the most sampled funk songs in history. The guy doing that iconic voice wasn't even in the band. 1973, Kool and the Gang had been grinding for years. Solid musicians, good reputation. But they needed something different. Their label wanted them to capitalize on the success of Manu Dibango's Soul Makossa, so the band went into the studio and came out with Jungle Boogie. But here's the thing, that growling, grunting voice screaming, "Get down, get down," that's Don Boyce, the band's roadie. Not a singer, not a performer, the guy who carried their equipment. Ronald Bell came up with the music, but when they needed someone to deliver those wild-spoken vocals, they grabbed the roadie and put him in front of the mic. The song has almost no lyrics, just Jungle Boogie repeated over and over. Pure rhythm, pure vibe, the kind of track that sounds like it was thrown together in an afternoon, because it basically was. Kool and the Gang recorded Jungle Boogie, Hollywood Swingin', and Funky Stuff all in one night. And this track that was essentially a jam session experiment, it shot to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. Number 2 R&B, sold over 1 million copies. Got sampled by everyone from the Beastie Boys to Madonna. Even showed up in Pulp Fiction 20 years later, introducing a whole new generation to a song that was never meant to be more than a groove. If you've ever been at a party when that beat drops, if you've ever felt your body move before your brain even registered what was playing, you know, sometimes the simplest ideas hit the hardest. Kool and the Gang wasn't trying to write a masterpiece. They were just trying to make you move. And that roadie's voice, still getting people on the dance floor 50 years later. Number 9, Shake, 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 Shake Your Booty, KC and the Sunshine Band, 1976. How many times can you repeat one word in a number 1 hit? 96. I counted. Harry Wayne Casey and Rick Finch were watching the dance floors in Miami in 1976. They'd already had 2 number 1s with Get Down Tonight and That's the Way I Like It. Both songs. Catchy, simple, repetitive. The formula was working, so they decided to push it even further. They noticed people doing the bump, noticed them shaking. Well, you know. And Rick Finch later said they just tried to write about what they saw. We'd pay attention to what the people were doing, either body moves or body language, and try to transfer that back into the next production. So they wrote a song that was literally just instructions to shake your booty. That's it. That's the whole concept. The song says shake 96 times 96. It's still the only #1 hit in history to repeat a single word 4 times in its title. The music critics weren't impressed. Radio programmers thought it was too simple. Some people called it nonsense. KC and the Sunshine Band didn't care. They weren't writing poetry. They were writing instructions. Get on the floor, shake your booty, don't overthink it. And guess what? It worked. The song hit #1 on both the pop and R&B charts. #1 for 3 weeks on the R&B side. Here's the thing about a song this simple: that it doesn't age. It doesn't require context or explanation. 50 years from now, people will still understand what shake your booty means. And if you've ever been at a wedding reception when that opening hits, if you've ever watched your aunt who never dances suddenly get on the floor, you know, sometimes the joke is on anyone who thinks the music has to be complicated to be great. Real talk. Only 9% of you watching this are actually subscribed. That hurts a little, not gonna lie. We spend hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life because this music deserves to be remembered. And you're here because you care about that too. So if these videos mean something to you, if you've ever said, damn, I didn't know that, or felt something while watching, just hit subscribe. It's free, takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube to show this to more people who love this music like we do. Let's build this together. All right, back to the story. #8, Brick House, Commodores, 1977. The Commodores recorded a song based on one of the crudest expressions in the English language. And Lionel Richie's mother couldn't face her church friends because of it. 1977. The Commodores needed one more song to finish their album. They'd already recorded smooth ballads like Easy, but they needed something with more edge. So they sent guitarist William King home to write something. He fell asleep trying to think of an idea. When he woke up, there was a notepad on his chest. His wife, Shirley Hannah King, had written lyrics while he was sleeping, and those lyrics were based on the expression, built like a brick shit house. Yeah, that expression. The one your uncle says when he's had a few drinks. She cleaned it up to brick house, but everybody knew what it really meant. The band didn't think much of it. It was simple, almost too simple. When they finished recording, they didn't expect it to be a single, let alone a hit. It was just a fun track to balance out the slower material. Lionel Richie's mother was so embarrassed by the song that she told him she couldn't face her friends at church. But here's what nobody predicted. That simple, vulgar, adjacent song became an anthem, #5 on the pop chart, #4 R&B, and it outlasted almost everything else they recorded that year. Get a man. Yeah, yeah. How can she lose? Rob Zombie even did a version with Lionel Richie in 2003. The crude joke survived longer than serious art. And you know what? Shirley Hannah King understood something the critics didn't. She knew that when you hear that bass line and those horns and Walter Orange screaming, "She's a brick house," you're not thinking about poetry. You're thinking about moving. She's mighty, just letting it all hang. Sometimes the song everyone dismisses becomes the one everyone remembers. Ask anyone who was at a party in 77, they remember Brick House. House. Yeah, she's the one, the only one. #7, Car Wash, Rolls Royce, 1976. Norman Whitfield wrote one of the biggest disco hits of the 70s on a fried chicken bag during a basketball break. By 1976, Norman Whitfield had already cemented his legacy. This was the man behind I Heard It Through the Grapevine, War, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, Motown royalty. So when director Michael Schultz asked him to do the soundtrack for a comedy about a car wash, Whitfield wasn't exactly thrilled, but he needed the money for his new label. So he said yes.
All right, that is so bad. Super smash.
Problem was, he couldn't figure out how to write a song about washing cars. He sat with it for weeks. Nothing clicked. Then one day, while recording at the studio, the band went outside to shoot some basketball during a break. Whitfield stayed inside eating fried chicken, watching them play. And suddenly, it hit him. He grabbed the paper bag his chicken came in and started scribbling lyrics. A song about a car wash. A place where the boss doesn't mind if you act a fool. Where you might meet your girl. Simple. Catchy. Built on a groove that mimics the rhythm of an actual car wash.
Hey, get your car washed today.
He wanted the music to sound like a machine. The song became Rose Royce's debut single, and it went straight to #1. Pop chart, R&B chart, #1 on both. The soundtrack won a Grammy. A song that came from a chicken bag during a basketball timeout became the biggest hit of Norman Whitfield's post-Motown career. Here's what I think about when I hear car wash. Norman Whitfield didn't want this project. He took it for the check, and he still couldn't help but make something timeless. That's what separates the great ones. Even their throwaway work has genius in it. If you've ever sung along to Working at the Car Wash without knowing any of this, now you know. That hook was born on a greasy paper bag. Number 6, The Rubber Band Man. The Spinners, 1976. The co-writer of this song thought the lyrics were just plain dumb. She told the producer. He recorded it anyway. Tom Bell was one of the architects of the Philadelphia sound. He'd already produced 5 #1 R&B hits for the Spinners, but by 1976, the group needed a crossover pop hit. Bell had an idea, a very personal one. His son Mark was being teased at school for being overweight. The other kids called him the Fat Man.
How much of this stuff do we think we can stand?
Bell wanted to change how his son saw himself, so he wrote a song about a big guy who was the life of the party. The guy everyone waited for because when he showed up, things got started. Originally, it was called The Fat Man, then The Big Man. Bell brought his songwriting partner Linda Creed in to help with the melody.
You and me, we're going out, catch a leg aside.
Creed thought the lyrics were ridiculous. Just plain dumb, she reportedly said. A song about a dancing large man with a walking cane.
And all that music, yeah, keeping time. On the world.
The Spinners were known for sophisticated soul. This felt like a novelty track. Bell didn't care. He changed the title to The Rubber Band Man and even choreographed a dance routine involving actual rubber bands. The song Creed thought was dumb. It hit #2 on the Hot 100. Stayed there for 3 weeks. Topped the R&B chart. Became one of the Spinners' biggest hits. Decades later, it showed up in Avengers, Infinity War, introducing it to millions of people who weren't even born when it came out. And here's what gets me. Tom Bell wrote this for his son to make a bullied kid feel better about himself. The silly lyrics were the point. He wanted to celebrate people who don't fit the mold. the ones who show up and light up the room anyway. Sometimes the songs that sound the simplest carry the deepest love. If you're nodding right now, you get it.
Guaranteed to blow your mind.
Number 5, Play That Funky Music. Wild Cherry, 1976. Shea Black audience member heckled a white rock band. They wrote it down. It became their only hit. Wild Cherry was a hard rock cover band from Ohio. By 1975, disco was taking over, and their gigs were drying up. Nobody wanted to hear Led Zeppelin covers when they could be dancing. The band's leader, Rob Parisi, tried to convince his bandmates to play more dance music. They resisted. They didn't want to be labeled a disco band.
No problems, yeah.
One night at the 2001 club in Pittsburgh, playing for a predominantly black audience, someone shouted at them during a break, "Are you white boys going to play some funky music?"
I thought I'd have to leave it behind.
Parisi didn't get offended. He grabbed a pen and a drink order pad, and he wrote down exactly what was happening to them. A rock band, forced to change with the times. The song was autobiographical. Once I was a boogie singer playing in a rock and roll band. It was self-deprecating, almost a joke about their own situation. When they recorded it, the band was nervous about those lyrics. "Play that funky music, white boy." His own father told him to take it out. The label executives were worried. Parisi refused to change a word. And that self-aware, almost mocking track, it went to number 1. Both the pop and R&B charts. Billboard named Wild Cherry Best Pop Group of the Year. A Grammy nomination followed. They were playing the Grammy show within months of being heckled at a club. And here's the thing, they never had another hit. Wild Cherry became the definition of a one-hit wonder, but what a way to go. A song born from heckling, from embarrassment, from being forced to adapt. If you've ever had to reinvent yourself, if you've ever been told you don't belong somewhere and decided to make yourself belong anyway, this song is for you. The joke became the legend. Number 4, Disco Duck, Rick Dees, 1976. This man got fired from his radio job for mentioning his own song. 5 days later, it was number 1 in America. Rick Dees was a morning DJ in Memphis. Not a musician, a disc jockey who made people laugh between songs. In 1976, disco was everywhere, and Dees thought it was ripe for parody. He met a guy at his gym who could do a perfect duck voice, and that was enough. Dees wrote Disco Duck in a single day, a novelty song about disco with a quacking Donald Duck-style voice. It was intentionally silly, the kind of thing you'd expect to play once and forget. He released it on a tiny Memphis label called Free Tone, founded by Estelle Axton, the Axe in Stax Records. Here's where it gets wild.
I was on the dance floor acting strange.
The song started catching on in the South, but Dees wasn't allowed to play it on his own show.
Turn to my seat, but there's no stuff with a duck in his beak.
Station management said it was a conflict of interest. Rival stations in Memphis wouldn't touch it either, afraid they'd be promoting the competition. So, Disco Duck was a regional hit that couldn't get played in its own city.
I'm the disco love.
On October 11, 1976, Dees mentioned the song on his show. Didn't play it, just mentioned it. His station fired him. 5 days later, Disco Duck hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Number 15 R&B, sold over 4 million copies, won a People's Choice Award.
All of a sudden I begin to change.
The song was even featured in Saturday Night Fever, though Dees' manager made the unfortunate decision to keep it off the soundtrack album. Rick Dees got a new job at the rival station. They let him play his song All He Wanted, and he went on to become one of the most famous DJs in the country, hosting the weekly Top 40 for decades.
Arms I begin to cluck. Look at me.
A joke song, a duck voice from a guy at the gym, a firing that happened right before the biggest moment of his career. If that's not proof that the universe has a sense of humor, I don't know what is.
So I got back up to try my luck.
Number 3, Troglodyte, Caveman, Jimmy Castor Bunch, 1972.
At home, listening to his stereo.
Jimmy Castor made a funk song about cavemen hitting women with clubs. It introduced a character named Bertha Butt, and it went top 10.
Gotta find a woman, gotta find a woman, gotta find a woman, gotta find a woman.
Jimmy Castor was a serious musician, started as a doo-wop singer in the 50s, played saxophone, wrote songs for Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. The man had credentials. But in 1972, he decided to do something completely different.
Bertha Butt. He was one of the Butt sisters. He didn't care.
Troglodyte opens with Castor telling a story about prehistoric times, about a caveman who saw a woman and well, the original lyrics were even wilder than what made it to radio. He hits her with a club, drags her by the hair, the whole caveman stereotype set to the funkiest groove you've ever heard, and he introduces Bertha Butt, one of the Butt sisters.
Dancing alone. He check out his mug, look in the mirror, you know. He said,
His Should Not Have Worked. It was a novelty record wrapped in a serious funk arrangement.
he said, what? She said, I saw.
The spoken word intro was theatrical, almost comedic. Critics didn't know what to make of it. Was it satire? Was it just silly? Did it matter? The song peaked at number 6 on the Hot 100. Number 4, R&B, sold over 500,000 copies, certified gold, and it became one of the most sampled songs in hip-hop history. That funky breakdown, producers have been chopping it up for decades.
He said, right on. Right on.
The caveman joke became the foundation for countless beats. Emmy Castor kept Bertha Butt alive too. She came back in 1975 for the Bertha Butt Boogie, a whole character universe born from a novelty track.
He grabbed her by the hair. You can't do that today, fellas, because
If you've ever thought your silliest idea wasn't worth pursuing, think about this. A song about cavemen dragging women around became a hip-hop sample goldmine. Jimmy Castor knew something the rest of us forget.
something like this. He said, dance.
Sometimes you have to let yourself be ridiculous to make something timeless.
You go down to the lake, well, the girls would be swimming or washing clothes.
Number 2, Kung Fu Fighting, Carl Douglas, 1974.
They fought with expert timing.
10 minutes, 2 takes. That's all it took to record one of the best-selling singles of all time. Carl Douglas was a Jamaican-born session singer living in London. His producer, Bidu, was British Indian.
Ik niet hoor. Ik hou niet zo van het gepimpel. Ik hou me maar.
They were working on a song called I Want to Give You My Everything, written by Larry Weiss, who'd also written Rhinestone Cowboy. That was supposed to be the hit, but they needed something for the B-side.
Maar gauw door even. AUB.
Bidoo asked Douglas if he had any lyrics lying around. Douglas showed him a few. One of them was about the kung fu movie craze that was sweeping through theaters. Bruce Lee had just changed everything.
Oh, verdomme, wat nu weer?
Dat gaat zo niet. Ik kan niet in.
Enter the Dragon was huge. Bidoo picked that one. They had 10 minutes of studio time left. Two takes. That's all they recorded. And because it was just a B-side, Bidoo went over the top. The huzz and ha's and chopping sounds, the campy oriental riff. He later said, it was a B-side. Who was going to listen? He didn't take any of it seriously. 11 million copies. Number 1 in 12 countries. Number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the Soul Singles chart. One of the best-selling singles in history. A song recorded in 10 minutes, never meant to be heard, with sound effects the producer added as a joke.
Van de VPRO en dan krijgen we dit soort verschijnselen. Is toch geen...
Carl Douglas and Bidoo created something from almost nothing. Neither of them were Chinese. Neither of them knew much about martial arts. They just saw what was happening in culture and threw something together, and it worked. If you've ever sung, everybody was kung fu fighting at the top of your lungs without knowing any of this, you're not alone. That B-side joke became immortal. And now, number 1. Number 1, Super Freak, Rick James, 1981.
She likes the boys in the band. She says that I'm a...
Rick James wrote this song as a joke. His exact words, he made it so white people could have something to dance to.
She's a super freak, super freak.
1981. Rick James had already established himself as a funk innovator. Mary Jane, You and I, Give It To Me, Baby.
The kind of girl you read about.
Serious music, deep grooves, the kind of artistry that made him a legend in the R&B community. But he was in the studio, and the Street Songs album was almost done. He needed one more track. James threw it together quickly.
Once you get her off the street, blow, Danny.
He told Musician Magazine in 1983, I was in the studio and everything else was done. I just put Super Freak together really quickly. I wanted a silly song that had a bit of new wave texture to it.
Super freak, super freak. She's a very special.
He even added an operatic vocal structure as a joke. He wasn't taking it seriously. The lyrics were risque. She's a very kinky girl, the kind you don't take home to mother. Alonzo Miller, a radio DJ friend, heard an early version and told James it was too dirty for radio. So James cleaned it up slightly and gave Miller a co-writing credit for the help. Even after the changes, some stations hesitated.
To my vibe. She will never let your spirits die.
MTV refused to play the video because they weren't playing black artists at the time. Rick James fought back publicly, and despite all of it, Super Freak became his biggest pop hit.
When I get there, she's got incense, wine, and candles.
Number 16 on the Hot 100, number 3 R&B, number 1 on the dance chart for 3 weeks, Grammy nominated. But here's where the story goes beyond James himself.
All-time favorite. When I make my move to her room, it's...
In 1990, MC Hammer sampled that bass line for You Can't Touch This. The sample was so prominent that James got a songwriting credit. And when You Can't Touch This won the Grammy for Best R&B Song in 1991, Rick James won too. His joke song earned him his only Grammy. Rick James passed away in 2004. The Chappelle Show sketches made him a household name again, but not always for the right reasons.
That girl is pretty wild now. The clown girl.
What people forget is that this was a musical genius, a man who could write and produce hits in his sleep. Super Freak was him goofing off, him not taking himself seriously for 3 minutes. And that's the track that outlived everything else. That's the one still playing at every wedding, every party, every moment when people just want to let loose. The joke became the legacy.
Right.